How do you manage yourself? Well, on this episode, we're going to do the book review on Manage Oneself by Peter F. Drucker. And we're going to find that out. So why did I pick up this book? Honestly, I saw it in Tai Lopez's top #1 book of his list of books that you should read. And it intrigued me because it's actually a Harvard Business Review book and it's extremely small. So I was wondering what's so amazing about it. And honestly, it did not disappoint. So I'm gonna go ahead and tell you guys the top 5 best ideas that I got out of this book. Before getting into the 5 best ideas of the book, I just wanted to explain the premise of this book. Essentially, this book is made for people to really thrive in their career. Peter F. Drucker explains what the best way to go about that is and what are the strategies you need to do to really have a beautiful career and at the same time a great life. The first best idea of the book is strength versus weakness. Now, this is a very interesting concept, and this is something that we have heard probably quite often in your life. And what he explains over here is before starting anything, you really have to be acutely aware of what your strengths and what your weaknesses. And he even mentions, unfortunately, not a lot of people know what their strengths and weaknesses are. And one way to solve that problem, he explains it through an activity that's called feedback analysis. So what he says is take a key decision or a key action, do that action, and then write down what the result is. Now do that for approximately 6 months, and then you're gonna have a pretty good idea of what your strengths and weaknesses are. So let's say, for example, I'm gonna go see a client. I write down, I have to prospect this client. I call him, I meet him, I take that action, I write it down, and I write down the result. And I do that several times over the 6 months. And then I realize once I look at all the results that, I'm not very good at communicating with clients for X, Y, and Z reason. But then I check out all the other things I did and I realize that I am a great communicator with my team. I encourage them and they're the ones that gets the sale. That could be something that I could put my energy towards. So the concept here, what he explains is play with your strengths, not as much with your weaknesses. Because if you put a lot of energy with your weaknesses to get them better, at best you're gonna become average. But if you work on your strengths and put all the energy on that, you're gonna go and become excellent at that one specific thing. So if every single individual does that and has an excellent part of what they do, as a collective we'll be better. And to be quite honest, all you have to do is leverage everybody's excellence and everybody's talents, and then you're gonna have an awesome team or an awesome job. Now, if you're working by yourself, this works as well, especially now with technology that you could go get outside help. You just have to leverage other people's talent. So if you're somebody that wants to write, but you have amazing ideas, but you're not a good writer, find a copywriter, right? Like easy concepts like that. Second best idea of the book is how do you learn? And this was my favorite idea, simply because it's a concept that I've known about and I could just truly get behind it. And essentially, Peter F. Drucker explains that there's several ways to learn. First one is through writing. Second one is through reading. The other one is through talking. One is through doing. So once you figure out what way you learn best and it's clear that aspect, then you could acquire the knowledge you need in so much easier form. And he explains in this same part that the education system, unfortunately, only teaches towards writing and reading, or the big part of it goes to writing and reading. So what happens to the other people? They kind of get left behind. But once you leave the education system and you're in the real world, you have to have extreme clarity on what your strengths and weaknesses are and how do you learn. So I mentioned over here the first point and the second point is on 100% clarity. And oddly enough, another book review that I had done with Brendon Burchard's High Performance Habits, the first habit is clarity. And I'm gonna link it up over here if you guys haven't seen that video. So the first thing you have to do is get extreme clarity of your strengths and weaknesses and how do you learn. Once that's done, then you know how to go where you need to go. The third best idea of the book is where do I belong? In what industry, what company, what division? Now this is as good as for an employee as for an entrepreneur. And the way that Peter F. Drucker explains that we should find those answers is through answering 3 questions. And I'm gonna go ahead and tell you guys the questions. The first one is, what are your strengths? So we covered this. Figure out what your strengths and weaknesses are. The second one over here is, how do I perform? And we mentioned this as well through the feedback analysis. Take an action, write it down, check how you perform. What is the best way you perform? And finally, what are my values? Figure out your core values as an employee or as an entrepreneur and see what company or industry relates those values. Because if you're working somewhere that has the same values as you have, you're gonna be able to succeed so much more. Just an example, imagine a salesman. If the salesman is selling something that he knows that it's not good, he's just not gonna sell as much. If somebody's selling something on a counterpart that truly loves the product and he uses it himself, it's gonna be so much more easier to sell because he believes in it. His value system isn't straight up with it. So figure out those 3 questions and you're gonna be on your way. The fourth best idea of the book is contribution. Now at this point of your career, you're probably succeeding extremely well because you found the proper industry and company to work for, or you started your own thing. Everything's going amazing, you're probably making a lot of money. But like our friend Tony Robbins says, success without fulfillment is the ultimate failure. And how do you get fulfillment? By giving back, contributing to society, through your community, to your loved ones. And what he explains in this part of the book, Peter F. Drucker, is the way to go and find how you could contribute. And it has to do with the same type of questions. Figure out what are your strengths, what strengths are best suited for what organization, and what the outcome that you want to be for your contribution for that organization. So it's really important to spend time to contribute and really work on your philanthropy, because that's gonna help you have a balanced life and it's gonna really make you feel fulfilled. The fifth and final best idea of the book is the first and second half of your career. Now over here, the author explains that in the first half of your career, you're probably grinding, getting into positions that you want, figuring out how to get things done. But then after a certain point, you're in your comfort zone. You figured out what you need to do. You've been probably doing it for years and you've been probably doing it very good. And then you get a bit bored. And usually he actually explained over here that this is where the midlife crisis comes about. Now what he explains over here is that you have to be aware of the second half of your career. So maybe get a different position or try to get challenged differently to use different skill sets that you have. And that could be in the industry that you're in the job you're in, or something completely out of that. You could start your own nonprofit. You could start another company that's gonna solve another problem in society that you're really passionate about. Whatever the case is, always be acutely aware to be always challenging yourself. Because if you have all the skills in the world, but the difficulty level is low, you're gonna be bored. If you have not a lot of skills and difficulty level is gonna be high, you're gonna be extremely anxious and there's gonna be a lot of anxiety in your life. What we're looking for is the middle part, that state of flow. And once you're able to play with that, because like I said, in the beginning of your career, it's gonna be a lot of unsureness, a lot of things that you're getting done, and then you get better and better at it, you're always gonna try to bring it to the next level. So always keep yourself on your toes and move around with new challenges. So I thoroughly enjoyed this book and it did not disappoint. Honestly, any part of the career that you are in right now, towards the beginning, middle, or the end, I truly believe everybody should read this because it's gonna help you out. It's gonna help you structure the future, your present, your past, figure out certain things. And to be quite honest, it's literally 55 pages. And in those 55 pages, there's just like bits of gold everywhere, just golden nuggets filled from beginning to end. So I truly appreciated reading a book that was just the concept, didn't have a lot of stories left and right. It did have some storytelling, but it was really condensed in information. So I definitely almost dropped it there. I definitely suggest you guys to go pick this up. The Amazon link is gonna be over here, so go click that out. And if you guys see there's some value in this video, please don't hesitate to like and subscribe, and I'm gonna see you on the next one.